join the conversation. You can do that on Facebook and on Twitter. On Facebook, we are Today95.1 FM. Like that page. Or on Twitter at Today95.1 FM. Follow us. And let's have this conversation. So let's start off with what the captions are like, or what the headlining captions are. And we have from the Vanguard newspaper, I'll support Southeast presidency if region selects their best. This is coming from NABA. I'll support Southeast presidency if region selects their best. NABA speaking. Also from the Vanguard newspaper, too early for 2023 politics. Too early for 2023 politics. That's also a caption from the papers this morning, from the Vanguard actually. And from the Vanguard, we also have U.S. says it won't join global effort to find COVID-19 vaccine. U.S. is not going to be bothered about that. You all can go find a vaccine. We'll just sit here and buy it when it come up. U.S. says it won't join global efforts to find COVID-19 vaccine. We'll read all about that much later. And then also we have from the Vanguard newspaper, presidency ethnicity not a factor in presidential ticket. Uzodima, 2023 presidency. Ethnicity, not factor in presidential ticket. Uzodima is the one speaking that. And also from the Vanguard newspaper, stop involving traditional rulers in politics. Igbos cry out. Stop involving traditional rulers in politics. Igbos cry out. And from the Vanguard, accident and assassination attempt on Oshomole. Accident and assassination attempt on Oshomole. And we have from this day newspaper, fearing Khan steps up agitation against Karma. And from this day newspaper, we've got this day newspaper has that story. Also from this day newspaper, Boa Group, that's the BUA Group, and French firm seal deal for 200,000 barrels per day refinery. Boa Group and French firm seal deal for 200,000 barrels per day refinery. Senate challenges NDDC to prove 10.8 billion naira payment to lawmakers. Senate challenges NDDC to prove 10.8 billion naira payment to lawmakers. And also from this day newspaper, we have a story here that says DPR, Nigeria to become PEC pledges credible elections in Edo, Ondo. INEC pledges credible elections in Edo and Ondo states. From the Guardian newspaper, we have business services, foreign investors hijack rights issues. Business services, foreign investors hijack rights issues. We'll be checking that out. And also from the Guardian, don't provide opportunity for insurgency in Southeast. Group advises federal government. Don't provide opportunity for insurgency in Southeast. Group advises federal government. And finally, from the Guardian newspaper, NUJ canvasses support for journalists' welfare. NUJ canvasses support for journalists' welfare. So these are the stories. This is what we'll be digging into. And we'll like to do that once I was blind zone that are well endowed and readily available. Said in 1999, the late Alex Ekweme would have emerged our presidential candidate if not for the strong influence of the military, because we believe in him. East. Earlier in his remarks, convener of the movement, Chibuzo Okereke, had thanked the former speaker for his support as his lecturer and the true fighter for justice and equity. He said, we're here to thank you and gather more from your fountain of knowledge. Well, from his fountain of knowledge, he poured this deep knowledge. Southeast has plenty hands, competent enough, well endowed, he called them. And he says, you have to pick the best. You present the best, I'll support you. If you don't bring the best, your chances are going to be slim. Southeast, take note. Emmanuel Ndukwe, good morning. Good to see you.
Good morning, Annie. Good morning, Nigeria. I think Naba, what he said is very correct in terms of competent hands, and which I always say exists in all the geopolitical zones of the nation. No zone has it as
There's
its
a
own
zone I'm
goal.
looking at, Emmanuel, that zone.
It doesn't have competent
I
hands.
don't think it has a competent.
Well, maybe until you mention that zone.
There's a zone I'm looking at.
For now, you've not mentioned that zone.
No,
So,
and I don't think I'll mention it.
it's all right. So that zone does not exist for me. Well, you see, but that comment, is from one individual. He said if they present their, like he said, he has maybe wittingly mentioned those that are in the best hand bracket for him. Good. So the fact is that I think the best advice is let the Igbos also themselves unite and make sure they present those that are competent, whom one of them eventually will emerge.
Yeah.
And then it will garner all-round support. And like I said, if anybody sits down thinking that it will come to the Igbos, it will be a dead dream. Walk, build bridges.
All right, then we got your thoughts there, Manuel. Thank you so much. Fine Face them the minute. Fine Face is an environmental justice activist and an executive director, Youth Cell Environmental Advocacy Center. Great to have you. Good morning.
Good morning, Annie. Good morning, Rivers people.
Great to have you. So let's have your thoughts here on what Naba said.
Well, Naba is talking about supporting a particular zone if they present their best. Mm-hmm. And Naba, for the much I know, I think is the governor of Katsina State. And Nahaba produced...
Naba, Katsina? No, he was former speaker.
No, former speaker. Yeah, I think... Okay,
House of Rep.
House of Rep, former speaker. Now, I know quite well that someone I think is from Katsina State. I think it seems to be so. The home state of the current president. And be that as it may, I know it's from the north.
Yes, he is.
From the north. But I do not think that the current president was the best that the north could present in 2015. But then he is now premising his support for a certain region he has refused to mention, that if they present their best. Well, that could be his own position, and I know quite well that all we need is to have our best to occupy the position of president in this country, because it is shameful that even out of about 200 million Nigerians, I am not a fan of football, but I know quite well that the 11 people or thereabout they select to play for the country are not the 11 best that can be selected from 200 million. So now we are about selecting one from over 200 million. So I think that to an extent, every zone should try as much as possible to present their best, irrespective of whether that person has, what it takes in terms of finance or not, in as much as the person has what it takes in terms of capacity, academics, and ability to drive the country. The region should present those candidates so that they can get support from all other Nigerians, including Aba.
All right. Got your thoughts there. This is where I do agree a bit with you, Fine Face, when he says, when you bring your best, I'll support. I think that what he'll have said is bring a candidate, I'll support, because he's not the one who is going to go to the Southeast and select a candidate. Mm-hmm. So the Southeasterners are the ones who will decide who they want and perhaps push that person. And we know that what we have are different political platforms. And so it doesn't mean there's just going to be one person from the region that will emerge. There are going to be several on different political parties who may decide that they will an Igbo nominee on their presidential ticket. At this point, Naba can say of the array of people available that none is the best.
Exactly.
So I just felt for me it was too. It's not condescending, but it was unnecessary. Really, I support the Southeastern president. So you go back home and do your work. It's the end of it.
Exactly.
Because it's the same thing that happens with every region. Every region goes back and decides this is what we'll do.
Yeah,
or each political party, as the way we see it, who decides they go on. Because it's not as if it's a regional endorsement. We don't see that happen. Even the North doesn't come together and say, because we saw Atiku and Buhari at one point.
Exactly. And Annie, I think Nahaba may be responding to what I heard on this station being discussed yesterday, the presidential ambition of former governor of the state, Uzo Kalu, that was discussed yesterday. Naba may have looked at that comment and said, is this the best that these people can present? And then came forward to say, if they can present the best, he will support.
I hope Naba heard that Oji Uzo Kalu said, if my people nominate me. So it wasn't, at that point, Oji Uzo Kalu was just checking out.
That run on, is it Hope Democrat? Is it Hope also?
No, I can't remember.
Yeah.
Youth something.
What's his name?
Something.
Iran contested a president. Mogalo.
Mogalo.
Yes.
Okay, it's Mogalo.
That is my own candidate for the Igbo nation.
It's all right.
Is it? You are joining Naba.
Let's move on to another story. And this here says, too early for 2023 politics. It says here, in the more advanced democracies, you only see electioneering activities just a few months to elections. About a year, really. The American presidential system is a little more elaborate with a system of state-by-state primaries. Yet it does not fully wake up till about 6 months to the election day in November. Political leaders know the importance of spending maximum time in addressing the crucial issues of governance and building the system to guarantee a better future for the people. Elections and active politicking are supposed to be the means to an end. Leaders are more interested in the next generation, not election. But in Nigeria, the situation is different. Politics is a full-time business. For many politicians, because it is the easiest means of making money due to its highly corrupted nature, the situation worsened since the return of democracy in 1999, when godfatherism assumed the center stage. Barely 15 months into the 2019 to 2023 electoral cycle, the All Progressives called the People's Democratic Party, PDP, paid a widely reported courtesy visit to one of Nigeria's foremost living political legends, Chief Olusegun Obasanjo in Abeokuta. Tambuwal made it clear that he was on a consultation visit towards his presidential ambition in 2023. It is unfortunate that these governors have allowed themselves to be distracted from their main task of fulfilling their mandate to the people of their states and embarked on long-term political adventurism at this juncture when the whole world and our country are still battling COVID-19. It is also sad to note that your state is one of the flashpoints, and maybe it's understandable if you go about gallivanting and trying to mend fences and make an inroad. Well, as I mentioned, who went all the way to Abeokuta. Your time is for your people. You should be busy in Sokoto trying to solve the problems of the people of Sokoto instead of looking for inroads at this hour. It's too early.
Well, for me, it's not too early. I must be frank, because in Nigeria, the plans for election starts immediately after election. We should
Which is
not.
what he's saying. He said he's wrong.
Yes, he's saying it's wrong. That's his opinion. I'm giving mine. See, if you check, we seem to be relishing in this copy and paste system because Americans maybe in 1 year will make their own known. He wants Nigeria also to do it that way. I think even what they call democracy, even though we don't have it in this country, they will adapt it. Every nation should adapt it to a certain peculiarities. Now, in America, it might be that people will be indeed rubbing shoulders all across, but the time to unveil themselves may be in 1 year. But in Nigeria, they make it in a way that you start immediately, those who have ambitions, after the elections. Now, Tambuwal may have taken a days off, because I know that if you are working, sometimes you can take a day or two off from the official duty to have gone to people, because I'm not sure he has completely become immersed in politicking. But he just paid visit to those.
Nigeria, an average politician, after the elections, the people begin to look up to you to get dividends of democracy, which is the reason why they voted for you. Being placed into positions, being given some social support and some financial benefit and what have you. So in the process of you giving them these things, you try to play politics to position them in such a way that if you come back, you can be considered. But if people get into power and you don't start this underground politics, by way of recognizing the people that help you to be there.
It's not early because this is the Nigerian style. But like I said, I would think that if you are not an elected officer, that's okay. I wouldn't mind if, as an ordinary politician in the corridors of power, perhaps not as an elected officer, you begin to stretch your hands across different corridors and see if you can make an inroad. I think that's okay. But when you are an elected officer and you begin to participate in active politicking, I just think that at that moment, there are too many things in your hands for you to deal with. And it is even in your attending to those issues that you're able to sell yourself better to the people.
Yeah.
You don't need to start going to have meetings with Obasanjo, going to go and see Babangida, or asking Tinubu if you can have lunch with him in Dubai. I think that in dealing with the problems that your people have at that moment, that's your selling point. That's from whence, even under a year, you can tell people, look, this is what I've been doing, and this is why I need you to let me go to the next step. This is how I see it.
It's like that. They are trying
and
in their best.
We can do that.
They are trying. It is like that. They are doing so. But we are in